go into the history. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the October 20th meeting of the Newmarket Town Council, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we get started, just a couple of quick announcements and regarding our attendance, and that is that Councillor Kuiper is excused and Councillor Ward is also excused. They are not here this evening. And then the next item that we have on our agenda is for public comment, and seeing no members of the public in the audience, I will go ahead and close public comment at 7:01. And then we have the acceptance of minutes. We have one set of minutes tonight, and that's from our October 6th regular meeting, and I would accept a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion that we approve the October 6, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any changes, questions, comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilor Bader?
Aye.
Councilor Blackstone?
Aye.
Councilor Conley?
Aye.
Councilor Sanders?
Aye.
Councilor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Aye, 5-0.
And then next we have the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, and not in my written report, is that we have begun planning for deliberative session 2022. Election day, hold up the schedule, is on Tuesday, March 8th. Deliberative session, we are going with Saturday, February 5th, with a snow day of Saturday, February 12th. And the filing period opens on January 19th and closes on the 27th. I did receive notice from the Municipal Budget Committee that I will be presenting the budget to them on the 29th after the council deliberates and finishes. The second part is
Of
that
October?
29th of November.
November.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The second thing is that, just for the public to know, that the new town website is up and running, went live last week. Should be easier to navigate, much cleaner to look, and a lot more buttons, and it's much more user-friendly on mobile devices. So, now in my written report, just an update on COVID-19. As of October 19th, there are 9 active cases in the community. We've had 710, or 7.5% of the population has had COVID. Our health region, Rockingham County, both have substantial levels of community transmission. The Seacoast Health region has seen a 5.6% increase in new cases over the past week. As for vaccination, we are seeing very little in vaccinations at this time. We have hit 60% community vaccinated with at least one shot, and 56% fully vaccinated. Again, that's kind of a misnomer because Johnson & Johnson is another. And as you know, booster shots have begun for Pfizer, and they were just approved today by the FDA for the other vaccines. Again, the area that we're concerned about are between the ages of 20 and 39. Those are one of the lowest portion of people getting vaccinated at this point. So, the next one, on a happier note, in the years 2026 and 2027, the community will be celebrating 2 milestones. First, in 2026, it will be the semi-quincentennial of the United States, which is 250th anniversary. In the following year, it will be Newmarket's tercentenary, 300 years. The Newmarket Historical Society held a visioning session on how we can celebrate these anniversaries in 2026 and 27, and I sent a copy of it, should be in the report. One of the things, if they would like to do, is have the town council formally appoint a committee to organize these celebrations. I'll do some research on how others have done it. One of the things that when I first got here, we started putting $2,000 a year into a capital reserve fund. So when the celebrations come up, we can use those funds to offset some costs of either fireworks or some kind of celebration. We may have to change the purpose, because when we set it up, we did it just for the 300th anniversary, and not considering it's the 250th of the United States the year before. So, just so we can use the money for both. And now, as everybody knows, we submitted the fiscal year 2000 and proposed 2023 budget, and I do have a presentation to go over it. So the highlights, and it's up on the screen. So first, I want to just go over the state of the economy, and this is a rare situation where I'm actually going to compare 3 years for a lot of these, just to show the difference. The first is, if I can get this right. The first is a consumer price index comparison. Consumer price index is a percentage increase on certain types of goods that people have in their home, that use in their home, usually gas, fuel, food. And in 2019, the increase was 1.3% in the United States. It was 1.1% in Northeast Regional, and 2.1% increase in Boston. Last year, during the pandemic, it was a 1% increase in the United States, 1.1 Northeast, and 0.8 in Boston. Well, and this is where we started having the inflation discussion. The United States saw a 5.4 increase in the consumer price index. The Northeast saw 4.3, as well as Boston saw that. So when we discussed the budget this year, a lot of the increases are not due to additional items. It's just due to the increase in cost of some of them. Fuel, salt. Salt's going to be a big thing. The other one is we look at unemployment comparison. So last year at this time, unemployment in the United States was 10.5% at the end of July. I'm sorry, the beginning of July. It's down to 5.7. The state was at 7 now. It's down to 3.4. The county is 8.4. It's down to 3.3. Portsmouth was 7.4, now to 2.9, and the town itself was 7.6% unemployment last year, and went down to 1.9, which is negligible. So, yeah, unemployment is very low, and everybody sees that we're still looking for help everywhere. I was not able to give a estimated tax rate for this November due to the school situation with their special town meeting. So I held off on providing that in the report at this time. But I do want to go over the assessed value of the town. And the reason for that is we determine the tax rate by the assessed value of the town. Rule of thumb is that for every every $1 in the tax rate, we can raise $987,870 expenditures. So if you look about a little less than $1 million, we spend a little under $1 million, it's $1 on it. So, bottom line, budget I'm recommending this year is $15,165,541, which is an increase of 10.46%. The department proposed a $16,019,551, or 16.68% budget. The proposed proposed town manager's budget is an increase of $1.4 million. Enterprise funds have seen an increase of $613,936, or $90, and special revenue funds of $258,080. And just to compare where the money goes, the general fund is $8.7 million of that $15 million. Special revenues is $1.4 million, and enterprise is $3.5 million. And so where's the increase going? Well, we're going to see an increase in healthcare by 8.5%. That's a guaranteed maximum increase. It could drop at the time they set it, but we go by what the guaranteed maximum is. The recreation revolving budget is increasing due to a new site supervisor role of $41,600. This is offset by equal increases in the special revenues line. Public Works Administration is largely due to the addition of a town engineer position of $89,000. On the flip side, buildings and grounds will be down $89,000 because we'll be eliminating the facilities director position to cover that. Roadways and sidewalks is up due to a 44% increase in road salt. Channel 13 is going to be hired due to making the director full-time. The goal is to make him more of a media person, to help social media, new releases, one of the things that we're finding with the change in the media landscape with the newspapers that we're just not being covered, and we need to get information out there. So we're going to try doing this and see how much we can get out there. And finally, the bond payments for the water projects that we're doing is coming for the first time. Capital reserve contributions, most of it I kept flat from the previous year. So, but I also did decrease what they were requesting, other departments were requesting. Recreation requested 23,000. I reduced that to 15. I think that was the only one I actually reduced. And other than that, yeah, they're all staying at level funding. I'm sorry, library is requesting $30,100. The library, as you know, we don't do the budget for them. We do a bottom line. So I didn't feel it was my place to actually reduce or discuss that one. That will come right to the council. So finally, to offset the expenditures, we're anticipating an additional little over $800,000 in additional, $700,000 in additional revenues. So we're predicting estimating $8.9 million in revenues. I'm sorry, I went through the wrong number. Last year we had revenues of 7.5. We're anticipating another $1.4 million in revenue to $8.9 million in revenue. What we're seeing is we had a very healthy fund balance, so we're proposing $500,000, as well as an increase in the room and meals tax that the governor put in his coming trust. It's in a trust fund, so they can't cut it. Versus the way it was. Is it where it was before? No, where it's supposed to be, but it's an additional $200,000 that we received, as well as increases in water and sewer rates. That's why we're offsetting those. So, estimate using data that we have today. This is my warning every year. So, determine the tax impact. So, if we do a $15,165,541, plus the revenues of $8,915,428, add the overlay, which is the abatements that we have to grant during the year, add the war service credits, we're seeing a drop in those due to a lot of people are passing away. So the net town appropriation would be $6,415,000. Again, as I mentioned, you divide that by the $870,471, then multiply that by 1,000, and you get a tax rate of $6.49, which is a 3-cent increase over the previous year. So it looks we have a lot of additional expenditures, but we're offsetting it with additional revenues. So it's really the 10% is the tax rate is only go up 3 cents. We do have a potential article. It's a $75,000 loan to assist Department of Environmental Services Sewer Division in planning efforts relating to continued improvements in the wastewater treatment facilities, solid treatments process, and nitrogen removal. Appropriation will be offset by a $75,000 in principal loan forgiveness under the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund. So there's no impact on the tax rate, but it requires a vote. So it's a wash. And, yeah, literally. And this will all be reviewed starting at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning with the police department, followed by the recreation. We'll go through there.
Great.
That's all I have tonight.
So we kind of have three separate things for in the report. So we have the actual town manager's report, the budget review, and then the department reports. So does anybody have questions or comments on any of those three items?
Yeah,
Councilor Blackstone.
I'd like to make a comment on well, Greg is such a good author that I always read the police report first because it's so engaging, and he's a terrific writer, and it really makes the police department look terrific. Mm-hmm. But one of the things he does is he uses a lot of pictures. And in the public works section, I would just like to get a feeling, is it about something talks about a lot of equipment, and I'd appreciate it if he could just put in a photograph of it. So we just have some feel, you know, are we talking about gigantic things or little things or, you know,
I'm sorry, which department?
in the public works.
Okay.
He's repairing valves and cleaning out things and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I just have no idea what these things are.
Yeah, I can ask for some more information.
And, you know, I don't think he's got a cell phone, he can just take a picture
Yep.
of it, right? You know, and that thing like in Greg's report where the deer hit the car, right? And you see the picture, it's obvious that, you know, there's not much damage and it was, you know, you don't need a lot of explanation. I think it'd be helpful to have, you know, maybe less jargon and a little more video or, you know,
Yep.
post, you know, picture information.
Thank you. Are you,
Yeah.
Counselor Conley?
Awesome, thank you. I just wanted to take a real quick second to commend dispatchers Quist and French for their work that they did to de-escalate what could have been a very tragic situation. So glad and delighted to be a part of a community with our law enforcement team that really puts service and care of individuals first. So just thank you so much, guys. And I also wanted to say thank you so much to who's going to be the elementary schools, school resource officer. You know, what a great opportunity to model service and leadership for our youngest residents. And so thank you so much. And also, I think I can speak for everybody when I say congratulations and thank you to the Public Works Department for completing the roadway paving. Everybody is grateful. It looks great, and we are so appreciative of the hard work that you have done in helping make sure that everything is accessible, including our homes, our businesses, and our schools.
Thank you. Counselor Sanders?
I would just like to congratulate the fire department. Both of the town ambulances are now certified and licensed at the paramedic level, which is fabulous, and 4 of their staff has also been licensed. We understand that requires a tremendous amount of hard work, and we do appreciate all their efforts.
And then I'm not seeing any other comments, so just a couple comments that I had. First of all, we spoke briefly about this right before we went live, but the town has a new website and a newly designed website, and it looks fantastic. So take a look, and thank you to the town manager for making that a reality. And I just had a couple questions about the department, and one was about salt. And I know, like, in some years we've had, like a surplus that we start with, and so where are we at with that? Do we have enough salt to get us through, or to at least get the season started?
We can get the season started, and we are getting the shipments in.
Okay.
Everyone likes a warm winter, except the public works. You'd rather have snow than what we had last year, because we're out there constantly salting and sanding the roads, because it's the rain then freezes that they have to do. So yes, they have to replenish what they have, but we should be okay. And yeah, I mean, salt is going up.
44%.
It's on a boat.
That's great.
They did it. So it's the same kind of situation.
Right, so because it's obviously much more expensive, right? But do we think that it'll be hard for us to get?
I don't think so. We're still we're not having issues there yet. So, and I know a couple of years ago we did have issues getting it in because they just couldn't get in from the ports. But right now, I think they've got enough on site.
And then I was also looking at, and to echo what Councilor Conley had said about the roads, so it's very exciting, that the paving is complete. And I know that they're working on the sidewalks for Bay Road, and so I was just curious if if we were gonna get a sidewalk plan. I know I've
Yeah,
asked.
and I'll double check where that is. Let me double check the sidewalk plan.
I have a group of residents who, they haven't reached out in a while, but I know that they're
Yep.
going to, and so I'd love to have an answer for them. And then my only question was actually about the budget and the war service credits, and you mentioned that it's going down. I know this came up a few years ago, and I can't remember the outcome. Are all veterans included in the war service credit?
Yes, they changed the law.
Okay, they did change
Yeah.
the law. Okay, that's what I thought.
It's not one of those things, we have to have people apply.
Yeah, no, I understand. I wasn't sure
Yep.
if all veterans were eligible. And that was all I had. So I am not seeing any other requests to speak, so we will move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Councilor Sanders.
The Arts and Tourism Commission met again last night, and we will be sponsoring a booth at the Halloween Haunt at the Rec Center this weekend from 2 to 4 on Saturday. And we're going to be doing a pumpkin mural painting with the kids. So we're kind of excited about that. We will have candy to give away. Michael Provo gave us an update on the Historical Society. They're working on a self-guided audio walking tour of the town. And there'll be 50 to 60 sites, and there'll be 90 seconds explanation of each of those sites with more information on the website. And they're hoping to have that ready for the spring of 2022.
Nice.
We're starting to look at the art walk again for the spring of 2022, and we're hoping to expand the number of artists and businesses to participate. And we'd also like to hear from local writers or poets or actors who would possibly put on a live presentation one of the weekends of the art walk. We're also hoping to reach out to any younger people in the town, junior high, high schoolers who are dabbling in the arts and would like a chance to display their work. So we're working on that. And a possible chocolate for February 2023.
They have our attention.
Thank you.
With samples to be given out.
Councilor Brayback.
Conservation Commission met on Thursday regarding the Neal Mill property. Selt sent a parking over to Steve and Rick for an okay, I believe. So that is very exciting progress. They did have a question, Steve, that might be for you. They were interested in what the process would be if they were wanting to make that Class 6 road into Class A trail. Would they present a letter to us, or, we're not sure how to...
We'll talk to town attorney.
Okay.
Determine that.
Awesome. Yeah, they were interested in that. They had started looking into it. It wouldn't restrict access for permitted land use, and it would allow money from the town and them to apply for grant funding and things like that by having it be a trail. So, and then there was another this past Saturday at Heron Point. I haven't been down there since then, but I know they had about, I think, 15 volunteers working on Saturday for a full day of work on those trails. So a lot of exciting progress being made on the accessibility in that area, and I encourage people to check it out in this good fall weather. And that is about it for today.
Thank you. Councilor Blackstone.
The planning board met, and the project that's on Exeter Road next to the dinosaur gas station, whatever that's called. That's finally approved, and but we've given them a 4-year extension to get substantial completion. They have to complete it in 5 years. Normally, you say you got to get going, but because of all the, the salt and all the stuff, they want to hold off on starting until the prices come back down. And then in addition, there was a house on Cedar Street. Cedar Street is, don't they call it the village, or there's a word? Is it the village, yeah, in the village. A bunch of houses that are 2 houses together, right? And so we approved one of those houses to be divided into two separate properties.
Great. Thank you. Counselor Conley.
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the Class A trail. Is there a typical process, Steve? I know we had talked about this a few months ago about kind of where that responsibility lay and kind of how that gets how that happens. Can you kind of refresh my memory on kind of what's?
I'd have to double check. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
But that's why I was going to also talk to the town attorney, just to make sure we follow the right process
Okay.
to do that. I can't remember if it starts on the Conservation Commission and comes ultimately to the council,
Okay.
or is it something the council can just do?
Okay.
So, I just double check.
And I am not seeing any other requests to speak, so I'm assuming that. Committee reports. So moving on, we don't have any ordinances for a second reading, but we have 2 for a first reading.
I would suggest the first one you read by title only, 'cause it's
I would be happy.
quite lengthy.
So the first one is Resolution 2021-2022-10, and it's relating to establishing a town capital asset policy, and that information is available on the brand new website. So I recommend anyone interested in the asset policy resolution to look at that on the website.
I have it in front of me if you need it.
Oh, no, it's,
Okay.
I have it, it's just
Oh,
the fan on my
yeah.
computer's acting. The second one is Resolution 2022-11, and it's approving the Community Revitalization Tax Relief Incentive, which is RSA 79E, for the redevelopment of the Kingman Masonic Block. Whereas CC 86 Main LLC of P.O. Box 571, Greenland, New Hampshire, 03840, has submitted an application for the Community Development Revitalization Tax Relief Incentive for the Kingman Masonic Block at 86 Main Street in the downtown. And whereas the developer is proposing $400,000 of substantial rehabilitation improvements to said building, and whereas this is over the threshold for 15% of the pre-rehabilitation assessed value or $75,000, whichever is less. And whereas, in accordance with RSA 79E:5, the town council may grant such tax assessment relief for a period of up to 5 years, beginning with the completion of the construction, and in its discretion may add up to 2 years of tax relief for a project that result in new residential units, and an additional 4 years of tax relief provided for the substantial rehabilitation of a structure which is located within a historic district which is listed in the National Register of Historic Places, provided such rehabilitation is conducted in accordance with the U.S. Secretary of Interior's standards for rehabilitation. Whereas the town council determines that this project qualifies for the incentives under RSA 79E, Community Revitalization Tax Relief Incentives, the project is substantial and there is a public benefit from this project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the Newmarket Town Council does hereby approve this application of the CC 86 LLC in accordance with the previously adopted criteria and authorizes the town manager to execute any associated agreements. First reading, October 20th, 2021. Just get back to my agenda. So, is there any correspondence to the town council?
There is none.
And then are there any closing comments? I am not seeing any.
Yeah, I would like to make
Oh.
a comment.
Counselor Blackstone.
I don't know where this goes, so I'm putting it now. I went to a Conservation Commission event a few weeks ago, and Councilor Breivik pointed out to me that the sign indicating where the park and rec was can only be identified because all the letters are gone, but the background is more aged than where the letters were. They were protected, you know, so you can kind of make it out. And I noticed the elementary school sign, the one on Main Street that says turn left here at the elementary school, is exactly the same way. So I assume there was a generation, you know, there was a bunch of signs made at the same
Yep.
time, and they're all gone, you know. Do we have a policy for, you know, every once in a while renewing signs?
No, but we can get that going.
Yeah.
And if one thing I'd like to do is, at some point, look at wayfinding signs.
What is a wayfinding sign?
If you've been to Portsmouth or Dover recently, you've seen nice new signs that point out where different attractions or
Oh, I see.
government
Strawberry
buildings-
Bank.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Those kind of items, so it's easier to find.
Yeah, well, certainly the elementary school and Park and Rec are places that a lot of people go all the
Yep.
time. And, you know, new 5-year-old mothers, you know, may not know exactly where to turn, and 3-year-old mothers of 3-year-olds may not know where the Park and Rec is, because you have to kind of go way back in.
Thank you. And then I just had a couple comments. I wanted to make sure that I said thank you to Bloom and Newmarket for their, I don't know if they're scarecrows or pumpkin people, but they really do such a great job. I mean, they do, the gardens are gorgeous, and this just adds such a nice touch this time of year, so, I really appreciate their work. We also, the town manager and I met with, the superintendent of the school and, the chair of the school board today to talk about a joint school board and town council meeting. So what we kind of decided, is that this time of year has been really, or the beginning of the school year has traditionally been really difficult for us to try to plan a joint meeting, for lots of reasons, mostly because they're opening school. And so it's a really busy time for them. So, we decided that right after elections, and when we have a new council and a new, or new members of the council, new members of the school board, that would be the ideal time to kind of start fresh. And one of the things that we can focus on, is more training related. So things like a right to know, presentation, and, you know, any other, items that might be relevant to both committees. Doing a safety presentation at those. So we have it scheduled for April 13th at 6:30, and mark your calendars. We've got plenty of notice. And
April 13th.
April 13th.
Okay.
At 6:30. So at that point, any new counselors will have been sworn in, and the new school board will be also.
Could I make one more comment?
Sure, please.
At the last meeting, when you weren't here, we discussed having a joint meeting with the planning board.
November 3rd at 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Has that been announced? I missed it,
Just
or-
did.
That was my next item.
I'm sorry, November 3rd at what?
6 p.m.
Okay.
It's
So
not,
that'll be right before our regular meeting.
It's downstairs.
Yes. Will we meet on Saturday?
oh, no, we'll be meeting downstairs, so
We're gonna meet downstairs.
we can have 6 feet.
Awesome.
And then the last item that I wanted to mention is I had a meeting with a resident, Sarah Stinson, and she works at UNH. She lives here in Newmarket, and she had reached out. I know to me, I think to others also on the council about the UNH, the Wildcat Transit Service, and that was back when they were working. They were going to eliminate the Newmarket run. And so we met this week just for her to just give me an update. Since then, she's learned a ton about transportation and the UNH system, and she's gotten on the committee at the school, and she's working really hard. sure that that stays, that the route stays, and that it stays, the issue stays relevant, and that we're all informed. So she's going to just periodically give me updates, and I can forward them, and she may give them to she may come to council. We talked about how to do that, and that she could come to public comment, occasionally if there's anything major to be put on the agenda, so that we can stay informed about who's using public transportation and kind of what the intentions of the school are, so that people aren't blindsided. And that was all I had. So our next meeting is October 23rd. That's Saturday. We'll be downstairs, and just so that everyone's aware, all of the department heads come in, and we have the opportunity we go through the budget. We have the opportunity to ask any questions. If there are any specific questions that people have that may need further, further documentation or research or anything like that, I highly encourage getting those to the town manager prior to Saturday, because otherwise they just may not be prepared for any other questions. I mean, obviously things come up in conversation, but if you know, okay, I want to know about that, whatever, the police budget, I have a specific question, and I want to make sure that I have my answer, so it would probably be best to be in touch with the town manager prior to Saturday. We'll be downstairs. So does anyone have any questions about that meeting? And then our next regular meeting is November 3rd. So I'm seeing no